Welcome back.
I don't know why I bring all these papers. I never look at them.
Oh, you give me numbers, I do. I go, oh. I said that. Did you really say that?
I just say whatever they write down for me.
That's fine. Gotcha.
Hi everyone, I have just received very important information, so I have to tell you this as soon as possible. Without further ado, let's get started. Stefan Zweig said, "For the first time in my life, I began to realize that it is not evil and brutality, but nearly always weakness, that is to blame for the worst things that happen in this world. Over time, it becomes quite obvious to those with the ability to think that the people at large bring about voluntarily their own enslavement, their own lots in life, and their own misery. Given the vast numbers of people as opposed to rulers, there is no need for such pathetic behavior. But the average human psyche seems to gravitate toward a life of rule instead of a life of self-responsibility. This is caused by a weakness of mind, and because of this attempt to escape individual responsibility, complete avoidance of the truth is necessary. This is the state of affairs today in this country, as the masses are aggressively hiding from the truth with the hope of being the recipient of a few crumbs from their masters in order to survive."
What if America is witnessing the largest crime conducted against humanity in a way they never thought of before? What if films were produced to inform the masses of these crimes by way of visual hidden messages? What if America derived from the likes of consensualism and organized written deceptions? What if you were told that something can control what you see, other than your own brain? How would you?
What's this? Christmas present. But first, you gotta take the oath.
Oh. Okay.
I promise to do everything in my power to protect this city.
I promise.
That's it?
That oath a real thing.
Totally. Definitely didn't just make it up.
I've seen something rather disturbing happen after Jeff passed. Nobody is happy that Jeff passed, or at least most of us aren't. Most of us have the common sense to not try to go and gobble up Jeff's personal information, and beyond that, most of us have the common sense and decency to not harass Jeff's family. However, there are people that don't. Do you remember the whole thing about the Aztecs or whoever wearing another person's skin like a jacket? You know how in cannibal lore, you eat somebody and get their power? You know how in Catholic communion, you eat what is supposedly the body and blood of Christ and yada yada yada? Well, after Jeff passed, some genuine people made videos expressing their condolences and doing their part to memorialize him and contribute to his memory. But there's a subsection of people who sit there and want to gravel up his personal information, who are harassing his family, who let their paranoia and delusion lead them, and therefore spread lies and deception, who reject the facts that they are presented with. And there are people who get together in these gross little shameless cubbies in the form of Discord servers, where they sit there and they all bandy about Jeff's personal information, and sit there and then have the gall to crap on other people for not making contrived videos in order to get clicks and shekels while pretending to care about Jeff.
Does anyone remember at the outset of the COVID-19 pandemic of people being welded into their homes by the authorities, that the disaster zone of Wuhan was described as a zombie land with people collapsing in the streets and medics patrolling in hazmat suits? Does anyone remember the images of people just falling down and starting to convulse and shake and spit blood everywhere? And it was images like these that were used, I would say, to implement the crackdowns and lockdowns and the destructions of civil liberties in Western countries. There was only supposed to be 2 weeks, and then we'll flatten the curve. Oh yes, now it's the fourth lockdown.
The fact that 2020 was officially the end of the fourth age, and December 21st, 2020 was the beginning of the fifth age. It feels like more than a coincidence that PlayStation released their PS5 just in time for the fifth age.
We survived 2020, but what will 2021 bring? Is it asteroids and zombies, or puppies?
Well, this is why I see another video from the strange world of Oceania. Appreciate everybody that checked out the live streams that I did. And one of the interesting things that I do to verify if what I'm doing or what I think or my opinion or theory or hypothesis or conjecture or reason, logic, whatever you want to call it, is I look at how the deep state, Luciferian, Marxist, communist agenda, whatever you want to call it, how they move and how they position themselves. And been doing this for many years, you get to see a pattern of behavior. But one thing as adults, we always know is that anytime for those who have children, anytime your children do something wrong, and you bring them in the room and you ask them, who took the cookie out the cookie jar, or who broke, the vase, or who took, something that they're not supposed to have, you always look for the one that's the most quietest, right? The one that's quiet, that have that blank expression on their face. Normally is that one that actually did the crime or, needs to get in trouble.
Is until my first strike expires on the channel, I won't be posting here. I'll be posting only on BitChute, and the date is sometime at the end of January. It's like January 23rd or something that the first strike expires, and then I'll only have one strike on the channel during that time, presuming I don't get any more strikes and I'm deleted. They could just delete one of my private videos or this video, I don't know. So either way, I could just be deleted. But I think that's the best bet for now, to not post on this channel while it has 2 strikes and wait till the first strike expires in like 3 or 4 weeks, more like 4 weeks, and only be posting on BitChute until then.
Can't wait till you do, we'll do it live. That's awesome. Can't wait.
Information in this information age, or has the proliferation of it and everything else cheapened it all? Does it trouble you if this collective loses memory of its troubles, both recent and most remote? If we remain entertained, fed, and stuffed, and housed, and heated, and cooled, will that be enough? Does the thinking process depend upon a steady diet of useful knowledge? If so, must we eat our veggies, or is it enough to snack upon the sensations of the mind, dieting our noggins upon the delightful, but little upon the substantive?
And I'm going to bring Lorraine and Cerebral in here as well.
Yay!
And hello.
Where's my family?
What's up? Hey.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello.
Looks like
Hey,
we're
Cerebral. Hey, Lorraine.
probably...
What's up?
Hello.
There was this man, and he was walking through a park, and not far away from him, he noticed this elderly man, like in his 80s, bent over, sitting on a park bench, excuse me, but he was crying uncontrollably, sobbing his eyes out. So the man walked over, and he asked him what was wrong. The old man looked up at him, and he said, "I have a 22-year-old wife at home. She rubs my back every morning, and then she gets up, makes me pancakes, sausage, fresh fruit, and freshly ground coffee." The man asked again, "Well, then why are you crying?" The old man added, "She makes me homemade soup for lunch and my favorite biscuits, cleans the house, watches sports TV with me for the rest of the afternoon. And the man said again, well, why are you crying? The old man said, well, for dinner, she also makes me a gourmet meal with wine and my favorite dessert, and then when we cuddle until the small hours of the morning, it's beautiful. And the man asked again, well then, why in the world would you be crying? The old man looked up at him with tears rolling down his cheeks, and he said, I can't remember where I live.